Hey y'all, so Alone in the Dark has just come out or is about to come out as I'm recording this, and the review has dropped for it. I've never played the 1992 original, and I'm hoping that the remake is good because I need some horror in my life. So let's check and see if it is good. I hope it is, because we haven't gotten many good things recently.
Hey, and we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show will give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake, and today we're talking about Alone in the Dark. Now, this is a classic horror franchise from the 90s that had its ups and downs, and it's been down for a while.
Okay, right off the bat, I didn't know they made more than one, so that's just new information for me.
This is a whole new game that kind of reimagines the original 1992 computer game classic that started it all. You don't need to have played the originals. This is just like a whole new survival horror adventure. So how is it? Well, it's got a lot of issues, and a lot of it feels like missed potential. It's messy, it's pretty short, and has some awkward combat and cutscenes. But I think some hardcore horror fans or some older school horror fans should consider giving it a shot at some point down the line, maybe at a better price point, because there's a couple of cool things I'll point out. Still, I ended up mostly disappointed. Now,
all right, before we even get further into this, yes, I'm disappointed. No, I'm not paying full price, but I will hear him out about the buying it when it goes on sale, because you know, by that time maybe they'll fix up some shit. But you know, bad combat is where they have me at, because I hate that clunky ass combat in certain games. Silent Hill 2 remake, please don't hurt me.
Now, let's get into it. So you know, we've been playing a review copy here, and this footage has been captured running on PC and is spoiler-free. Now, you start the game by choosing to play as either classic character reimagined, Edward Carnby, or
it's David Harbour,
with Carnby played by the Stranger Things and second Hellboy, David Harbour. And
why did you even bring up the Hellboy shit? That was terrible.
And Jodie Comer from The Last Duel is Emily. Now, this Emily is looking for her lost uncle, and she hired Carnby, this private investigator, to help. They head to Derceto Mansion in the late 1920s Louisiana, and it's like a haunted plantation mansion mixed with a kind of mental health therapy rest home place. Now, the character you choose, you are with them for the whole campaign. With your paths occasionally crossing throughout the story. It's like a lower key
Resident Evil 2
situation from Resident Evil
2. Bro read my mind. By the way, speaking of, I know I just said don't mention Hellboy again, but look, I grew up with the original ones, and if there's any fans of the new one in here, what's wrong with you? Go back and watch the original ones, all right? 1 and 2, the Golden Art. I'm sorry, I'm just saying, you just can't. Every time I see David Harbour now, I'm just scarred about a remake that they tried to make it was bad. Okay, my fault.
So you enter the mansion and the adventure begins. You navigate through this house, collecting puzzle items, finding clues, backtracking a lot. You're double checking your map for locked doors. You're generally doing
the classic
survival horror puzzle thing.
Yeah.
And this is where I think the game does mostly excel. There are some easy,
simple
puzzles, but also quite a few more interesting ones that require you to, you know, consult your notes or a piece of evidence.
I love these types of puzzles.
Maybe even use
some
contextual clues from around the environment. There's some repeats, but ultimately
I hate these though, because I always get confused.
I even got stuck once for a bit, but it's
I hate those.
I'm not very smart. I always admit that. Unlocking doors and finding secret entrances and all that map stuff eventually leads you to other places that tend to be much spookier and lead to enemy encounters.
Why does every goddamn survival horror game have a sewer? We need to stop that trend, all right? I cannot think of a game that takes place in a sewer or a level in a sewer that is a good level, okay? I can't think of nothing. I really cannot.
And it's a very, very simple workmanlike combat and item system where you eventually unlock 3 weapons, a pistol, a shotgun, and a machine gun. And you manage ammo for that as well as a healing item, which, funnily enough, is just booze. Now, these spookier and weirder locations the game takes you to are absolutely awesome. Like a foggy graveyard, a smoky moonlit swamp, dark, almost Silent Hill looking versions of New Orleans streets, and a bunch of others that I definitely won't spoil here. It's really creatively inspired and makes for some great moments and unsettling exploration when you don't know.
Okay, there's something that's put me off about these shots landing. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna rewind these and just analyze this really fast.
Definitely won't spoil here. It's really creatively inspired and makes for some great moments and unsettling exploration. When you don't know what's in front of you, that's when the game feels the best. But then when things get in front of you,
listen, I just don't like when an enemy is running towards me and I'm shooting it and I cannot really tell that my bullet impacted it. And I think that's what it is. Like the Resident Evil games does it great. Yeah, sometimes they'll keep coming at you, but they stumble, right? They stumble a lot. And also the recoil seems a bit stiff, but they stumble a lot, and it makes you feel like your bullets have weight. No, it didn't feel like that. Unless I'm just tripping, unless I'm just extra tired. Just saying.
That's where the combat really grinds things to a halt. Look, survival horror games are supposed to make you feel like you're not in control, right? Like some controls are intentionally a bit cumbersome to help amp up unpredictability, you know, the fear factor. Resident Evil has done it. The newer Alan Wake 2 keeps things pretty simple and has a high level of recoil. But here, it's just too messy for
Alan Wake 2 was amazing.
You'll get stuck on enemies that'll like wail on you for a while you're like,
see even there there's barely any impact to the bullets. Like
you'll get
and then keeps going.
Stuck on enemies that'll like wail on you for a while
stiff.
You're like
super
stuck in the
stiff
corner. There's a pretty soft feeling dodge. Encounters just are never great. Melee is so messy and inaccurate.
I could have guessed
comical just because it looks so awkward,
man,
and it doesn't.
I'm not picking this shit up on sale either. I'm sorry. It's going to have to pop up for free and I still might not download it. I cannot stand when someone puts this kind of combat in their game. Like, what are you thinking, yo?
And inaccurate.
Look at this.
It's almost comical just because it looks so awkward and it doesn't always connect.
What
the
is
highlight
this?
Is that you're occasionally able to sneak around enemies in certain sequences, and you can like on the fly throw bricks and
man, this ain't hit. This is not hitting. This is not hitting
to mess up the bad guys. But that's really it. There's less than a single handful of enemy types, all really generic and uninspired, and frankly, disconnected from everything. At the very least, there are loud, angry, punchy gunshots, good sound effects, and some occasional good visual effects that show that this really could have been so much more. Because, look, I love being stressed out in combat during a horror game. I love when it gets frantic. The original had messy combat, but this always just felt like a chore. And
you don't have to have messy combat for a scary experience. Even looking at Resident Evil 2 and 4, which is 4 is probably my favorite, and 2 is a close second, the remake of 4. It got really hectic in the village. The first time you are getting bombarded with people. Chainsaw dude comes out, you're swarmed, they're grabbing you, you have to flip them off of you. But guess what? The combat in that is so clean. It's a survival horror game. You manage your bullets, you manage everything. It is so clean. So for me, there's not really an excuse. That's a big excuse when they're like, well, the combat is clunky because they want you to struggle and be afraid it's not supposed to be easy. Yeah, sure, but show us that in the animations, not in the actual gameplay. Make it to where if I'm good at adapting to these situations, let me reap the rewards from that. And even the original Silent Hill 2, the combat was very simple. Yes, it was very tanky and one note, but it wasn't too hard. You just had to reposition a lot of times and then find a new angle to shoot. It wasn't that hard. So I feel like, and then probably from any clunkiness back then, they didn't do it on purpose. It was just the graphical and the mechanical limitations at the time. So I don't like the excuse when they go, oh, well, we made the combat a bit clunky, so it made you feel like more immersed. No, if anything, I feel less immersed because ain't nobody just about to be swinging their axe at nothing on the ground like that. That's kind of ridiculous to me. I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry. I just feel a certain way.